in that order.
Action determined in closed session? None. A recording of this meeting is being made and shall be kept for 30 days as public record. Pledge of Allegiance. Michael Sanders?
Oh, is that a real thing? Stand, place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Nice.
They told me.
You got a lot of pride in that. Thank you.
Roll call. Patrick Reeder, Mario Gutierrez, Sandra Kirk, Vincent Otis, Ivy Vasquez, and also Ms. Muffin, and myself.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Reeder,
Second.
second by Kirk. All in favor?
Aye.
Reports. Okay, our first report is Rosamond High School. Ms. Ivy Vasquez.
Hello, welcome back from that very short spring break. I'd just like to suggest next one be 2 weeks for everyone. Just a reminder, the Beauty and the Beast musical is on April 13th, 14th, and 15th, and the 19th, 20th, and the 21st at 7 o'clock, and admission is $5. And then everyone at RHS is super excited for the prom, which is on April 28th. And then come join the Rosamond High School and Tropical Middle School bands for the 14th annual Spaghetti Jazz Feed on April 6th from 6 to 8:30 at Tropico. And then remember, a local ASP member is selling cookies for just $10. And then our biggest glow in the dark pep rally is on May 3rd. So wear white and come glow with us. You know, there's gonna be slime. Our last blood drive of the year is on May 7th, so save the date and donate.
Good evening, everyone. There are 40 days of school left. We've all been counting. And with the end of the year comes the end of the year field trips, with the 6th graders going to the movies, the 7th graders going to Mulligan's, and the 8th graders going to Six Flags. The Football Academy at TMS has also started with students conditioning 3 times a week after school. The mathletes are also working hard with their practices starting as well. And as usual, the TMS band is busy as bees. We are joining the high school band at the Spaghetti Jazz concert, just like on Friday from 6 to 8:30. And the children tickets are $5, and the adult free sales are $8 and $10 at the door. So you can come.
Thank you, Elizabeth. School reports. Charlie, Tricia? Do we have some time? Alicia? Yes.
Hello, for those that don't know, my name is Alicia Woods. I'm a Sodexo consultant, and this is Rosie. She's a food service supervisor. So I'll start off with the boring stuff. This is our participation statistics. So you'll see that in the blue on the bar graph is last year compared to this year. So as you can see, there's an increase, but there's also an increase in enrollment. So on the chart, you can see the year-over-year growth. So from August of 2016 to August of 2017, for example, we've grown 8.65%, and that's just in participation. And again, the chart takes into consideration enrollment and number of service days. As we know, we donate to Wayside Chapel. We donate our extra food that's left over. So far, we donated 15,780 meals this year. This year, we became food recovery certified. This year, we have also received $25,000 in grants. A lot of that is for our breakfast program. So we launched some marketing initiatives. We got new grab-and-go cards, so they roll better and they look nicer. And we got some signage, and we started a grab-and-go prize system. So we set a timer, and the kiddos go through and they grab their breakfast. And then when the timer goes off, that child gets a prize. And there's pencils and stickers, plush toys, and all kinds of good stuff. So they really enjoy that. And then we also got a grant for our salad bar carts. So as you know, we offer fresh fruit and vegetables. So that's a good display for it, and it makes it more accessible to the kiddos. But they can grab whatever they want. And of course, they can get seconds of the salad bar, and they can take it, if they want 3 apples, they can take 3 apples. We encourage them to take what they eat, of course. But as long as their bellies are full, that's the most important thing. So the salad bars will help a lot. And then last time I presented, I touched on Primero Edge. It's a nutritional database that will allow child nutrition to get real-time entree selection. So instead of writing down their production numbers on a piece of paper, like for example, I have 7 Baker's boxes full of paper, and I use paper and toner, as we well know. So this is online. So all they have to do is throughout the day, just go to a box and put a number of how many kiddos that were served. And then I can see all the information at the district level. So I can see, hey, the bean and cheese burrito isn't very popular anymore. Let's change that menu item. So this is more mainstream, and it gets us really into this century. And then there is a pairing app that's called So Happy that we're looking at getting. So that would give the nutritional information straight to the parents so they can see carb counts and allergies, of course. And we're doing training this month for it. And then we're going to start using it in May. And again, this is much more efficient. None of that paper, no more toner. And again, it'll help with forecasting so they know what to buy and we're not wasting food and so on and so forth. And then for menu innovations, we have changed the menu a little bit. We added some more popular items, like low sodium tater tots and stuff that the students like. And then I kind of noticed that sometimes during the dinner program, it seems very common that kiddos will come back and want another cup of applesauce, and you know, I slip it to them, of course. But so we added some more options, some more calorie-dense options. Nutritionals are a little bit more, we have more leeway, but we offered some things like macaroni and cheese instead of a dinner roll with the chicken nuggets because they like that better. It has a little bit more calories, but we have offer versus serve. Instead of just telling them for dinner they have to take this tray. So if they don't want the macaroni and cheese, if it doesn't fit within their calorie requirements for the day, they don't have to take it. We've also tried some other things. So we have to offer beans and peas. So instead of just giving them pinto beans, we've tried things such as Southwest pinto beans. So it has like peppers in it and it's cooked a little bit different. So that's a little bit more popular. For a snack, we noticed that kiddos are getting tired of just having crackers, which is a very popular snack item. They're an ounce and they're easy to eat and they're not very messy. So we're offering things like muffins that are, of course, low in sugar and they don't have too many calories. More a la carte options. The companies are finally responding to the Smart Snack requirements as they changed last year. So, for example, we got a few more chip options. So, Funyuns, for example, the kiddos love that. And, of course, they're low sodium and they're baked, not fried. So, don't worry too much about that. And then we noticed that there's some vegan kiddos. So, we wanted to offer them entrees. And, of course, we have a lot of vegetarian, but for example, we made some vegan nuggets, and so we also made like vegan sriracha sticks. And so I just go grab some tofu, and it's very simple. And even at the high school, we just throw the tofu on some salad, and the kids love it. So more vegan options, and then we found out the lactose-free kiddos are just kind of getting like things without cheese. So we did more innovations and made actual lactose-free menus. And then of course we have gluten-free items. So we get those specialty from Whole Wheatery here locally. So we support a local business. And I just buy like variations of everything. So if we have muffins for breakfast, I buy the gluten-free kiddos muffins. So they have the same choices. And then also there's not very many items that are available, unfortunately, yet. So if they want pizza when it's hot dog day, they can have pizza. And then again, I'll just go through this shortly. Sodexo has a commitment to foods that are made from scratch and things are short ingredients. So our hamburgers don't have a lot of soy fillers or that kind of stuff. They're just beef. Same with like our tacos, so they just use pure beef. And then locally grown, fortunately we live in California, so there's a lot of options locally. Logistically, we call local 250 miles because maybe if the growing season is not good or if there's floods, which seems to happen a lot here, I just moved here, so with all the floods and fires, that's crazy. So if that happens, we might grab from New Mexico or from Arizona or wherever we can get stuff, but for the most part, we pull locally. We did holiday feeding, so during the Thanksgiving and Christmas break, we were open for both meals. For Thanksgiving, we got some pumpkin pie, and I cheated and put my own son because it's a media release form for sure. And Christmas, we bought real ham, and it was a great time. And we served about 200 kiddos. So sometimes it's one of those things where those kiddos might not have a lot to eat at home. So it's a really great program that we're able to do here. And of course, our staff is awesome because they have to come work on Christmas at 6:30 in the morning, and so they're really gracious about that, and they have no problem, and we can trust them to do it. And again, we'll talk on this more, but the staff is just awesome. So we're so grateful to have them, because not a lot of people want to work on Christmas. We did fine dining this year. We're doing it at both of the elementaries. Last year we just did it at West Park and invited the RES kiddos. So we're going to do it at West Park and Rosamond. And this is at West Park, and at Rosamond it's the 19th of this month. So we brought in a chef from Southern California, Sodexo regional chef, and then we had our in-house chef, and they made chicken, and it was 4 courses of dessert and salad and soup. And as you can see, a place setting. Unfortunately, not all the kiddos had immediate release, so I can't show them, but they looked awesome. The girls were wearing dresses, and the men were wearing suits, and they had little, like, they paired up, and they sat together, and it was just adorable. So it was really great. And then we're doing it again, like I said, at RES. We're doing it twice this year instead of just one, so more kids have the opportunity to participate. Future Chefs was just a couple weeks ago. We had 5 participants. They came from both West Park and RES, and we're actually looking at expanding this program to the high schoolers. So we're talking through having a high school culinary competition in May. So I'll give you more details about that. But so we had the Future Chef a couple weeks ago, and our winning recipe was piglets pork sliders. And so that recipe is being submitted for nationals, and that's really competitive. There's about 900 applicants. So we'll find out about that at the end of this month. And then they came and they cooked, and then we had judging, and they got a medal and a trophy and a certificate and all kinds of good stuff. First place got a cotton hand set. That's way nicer than mine. So it was a blast. And the parents came, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad that we had the opportunity to do that. And if we expand to high school this year, I'd like to do high school, middle school, and elementary next year. And then I'll let Rosie talk about our amazing staff. But first, I want to say that how awesome Rosie is. Like I said, I moved here 1,200 miles. I don't know anyone, and it could have really been awful for me, but it's really great. So, so grateful. And then I'll have her talk about our leadership.
Yes, at the high school we have Diana Cruz as our manager. At West Park we have Wendy. At Rosamond Elementary we have Miriam, which is actually running Rosamond Elementary and our Early Child Development Center. She goes to both schools to make sure all the meals are being cooked properly and all the temps are taken and our staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And Miss Sheila at Tropico. These ladies have worked really hard this year, making my job easier this year. I go in, what do you need? They let me know. I come to administrators and we get what they need to get the job done. So we've worked really well this year with staffing and really hard working managers and really hard working staff that we have this year. So if you see them in the cafeteria, please give them a pat in the back for doing such a great job. And administrators for letting us come in and me with my ideas, the principals helping me and letting me suggest some of my ideas, and you guys helping me grow and feed these kids. So thank you.
And I just want to reiterate with her that I've worked with so many districts, like across the Midwest, and I've traveled with Sodexo. That's a great thing about the company. We have all these opportunities. But anyways, I've never met such a hardworking staff in my entire career, even though I'm not like that old. So I have never met such a great staff, and the funny thing is, I could ask them to make 5,000 pizzas, and they'd have it done in 20 minutes. But to get them to take a picture, we had to bribe them. They're just really great, and I just want to reiterate how awesome everyone here is. They're so gracious, and they're nice and helpful, and when I don't know what I'm doing really, like I don't know how they do everything, and then they just explain it to me, and they show me, and it's just really awesome here. So I just want to reiterate that. And then I guess if you have any questions.
How many meals are we serving per month?
Per month, about, it's been looking like about like a 27,000, and that's breakfast and lunch and snack and dinner. So. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alicia and Rosie.
Thank you.
Before I start our presentation, I just want to add to what Food Services said. I can attest to Sheila Briscoe. She's an amazing worker. The whole staff is just so flexible. They care about kids. I had a student call me over today to the table, and they were raving. I think it was the Southwest Pinto,
Oh.
today. They were pretty pumped up.
They're good.
I said, why are you so happy? She says, it's new, it's awesome. So food service is doing a wonderful job. So I'll start our presentation off with a story. It was the beginning of basketball season tryouts, and Mr. Quellman was in with the coaches and the team in the gym as they were warming up and getting ready to start tryouts. Mr. Quellman was doing eligibility checks, and I was just in there kind of observing. And I was observing the team doing warm-ups, and I don't know if I said it to Mr. Quellman, but I know I thought it. I said, this is going to be a long season. These kids were all over the place. Balls flying everywhere. Well, I was right about one thing. It's a long season, but not because of their poor accuracy. I want to introduce first Michael Fimbris. He's our head basketball coach. What's that?
Am I coming up there?
Come on up. He's holding in his hands the reason why our season went so long. He's our head basketball coach. Does a wonderful job with our kids, and I'm going to let him talk about our 6th and 7th grade team. Actually, all of our teams, but especially the 6th and 7th.
So hi, I am Michael Fimbres. I am a special education teacher at Sun Academy. Get that out there first. I'd like to talk about my 6th, 7th grade team a little bit first. They all displayed some good qualities this year. They were respectful to their coaches and to their fellow players. They were dedicated to their craft, and most importantly, they had never quit attitudes. From the tip of our first preseason game to the last second game-winning shot in our league championship game, I've never witnessed such hard-working young men. This is my 2nd year as coach over at TMS, and I'm proud of what we've done with this program in this short amount of time. I'd like to thank Mr. Quellman, the athletic director for TMS, for organizing the program, Mr. Adams and Mr. Gonzalez for their support throughout the season, and I'd like to thank you, the board members, for giving us such a great basketball program and letting us do this year after year. Basically, I look forward to bringing a lot more championships back to TMS, and go Eagles.
So, we didn't have a lot of time to talk about the game. The game was phenomenal, the championship game. We beat David Janelle, correct?
Yes.
So, I'm pretty sure we weren't favored in any of our games. These kids, like you said, they never quit. There was a point we were down 7 in the 4th quarter.
I believe so.
Okay, so in a middle school game, down 7 in the 4th quarter, that's not a good place to be. And you generally don't win those games. But the way it ended with the last set, we inbounded all the way on the other side of the court, correct?
Yes.
It wasn't half court. It was
about
under
6.7 seconds left.
6.7 seconds.
Exact.
2 passes down to the kid. He literally hit the shot as the time ran out, went through the net as the time went out. The reaction these kids had and the coaches had was awesome. Even before the play started, we had Coach McKnight, who's not with us today, literally on the ground drawing up the final play in the huddle. Those kids saw it, they executed it, won the game. And this, Mr. Quellman, correct me if I'm wrong, this is our first championship in this league, our first tri-district league championship. I'd now like to introduce Coach Miguel again, who almost brought us home our 2nd championship. I have a lot of feelings about this announcement, like I did the last one, but they're on the opposite scale because of how the game turned out. But I was so proud of our kids, and I'm going to let him talk about our soccer team, our boys soccer team.
Good afternoon. My name is Coach Miguel Diaz. I've been coaching at Tropical for 3 years. I also coach at the high school. I've been coaching for about 5 years now. So it's been an honor to coach at our district. I've had a lot of years playing soccer, but it's not the same as coaching. The reason why I say that is because when you coach, you can see the impact in your players. And from the beginning, like how Mr. Adams said about the basketball team, I knew it was going to be a long season. My goal was to make playoffs. This was my 3rd season. In the 1st season, we didn't do too well. We didn't make playoffs. The 2nd season, we missed it by, I believe, a point, if I'm correct, Mr. Coleman. So the 3rd season was I knew it was going to be our season. It was going to be the lucky season. We had 8 games. Of those 8 games, we lost 2. However, I had a team of 23 players, and this year we did it a little differently, where we have a travel team and a practice team. Players changed their mindset, started working hard, and it worked. And we progressed. We made playoffs. We won our first game in playoffs. The second game, which was the semifinals, we played against, I believe, a 4 or 5-time champion. Mr. Coleman could probably look into those stats later on, but I asked the coach after the game how many times they won the championship, and they said 5 times, I believe. Nobody had beat them. Their record, they had scored 64 goals, they only received 4, and they didn't lose the whole season. However, when I told my players we're going against the champions, I told them it doesn't matter who we're playing against. You guys got to go in there, be hungry, and want it, and you guys will beat them. That team's going to come in on cloud 8, 9, whatever cloud they are, and they're going to take you lightly, and that's what happened. We scored 2 goals in the first half. They came back and tried to fight, which I expected them, and I told my players at halftime, but we ended up winning that game 2-1. We went to the finals. Things didn't work out our way. However, we went to overtime and PKs, and in our heart and everybody at Tropical, they know we won. But it's the reason why I bring up the whole story is because at first it was looking a little rough. We didn't look like we were going to win any games. But my coach, the coaching staff, my assistant coach who's not here, Coach Renee, who coaches at the high school as well, never gave up. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know what I'd do. Because the first season I coached, it was too much stress. I did it by myself, and I don't regret it, but it's a learning process. But you could ask all the Tropical staff, we were the champions. We won that game fair and square, but it is what it is. I want to thank the teachers, all the faculty, the principals at Tropical, the athletic director, Mr. Coleman, and all of you for allowing this program, this sport program to occur. I attended Tropical about 12 years ago, and there was no program. There was no soccer program. There was basketball, volleyball for girls and stuff like that, but it's progressing and it's beautiful. So I appreciate all of you for all the hard work you're doing, and you're making more sports and you're making Rosamond a better community. Thank you for everything. Have a great night.
I think what impressed me most about the young men was they were a physically talented team. And when I watched them out there in that championship game, I was shocked at how physical they were with the other team. The other team would physically try to intimidate them, and our kids would have none of it. And they won that game twice, but for some reason it wasn't supposed to be that way. So you would expect a team that had fought that hard to have some sour feelings. And I can't tell you how impressed I was with our students and our coaches at the way they conducted themselves after a heartbreaking loss like that. To shake hands, even when the other team was gloating, taunting, our squad was awesome. And they are that way because of our coaching staff. And I want to thank, I don't know who to thank, if it's Mrs. Reeder or the way it works, but we share coaches with the high school. And it's no secret, I think, that both programs are incredibly successful because of those coaches. So I'm very grateful to have those coaches be able to coach our kids as well. It creates great continuity between schools, and we just have great kids as a result of this program, our coaches. So thank you both athletic directors and coaches. You guys have done a great job. All right, I'm going to call up Ms. Esmeralda Bourne. She is a Rosamond native? Yes? Yes. Esmeralda took over our opportunity program, which is not an easy program to take over. It's a very difficult program, but she has made it her own, and I want her to talk to you about not just the necessity, but the success of the program. And I'll just turn the time over to Esmeralda. She's ready to go.
Okay, so again, I'm Rosamond, and I'm the opportunity teacher at Tropical Middle School. My role is to help students during the credit recovery process, and I teach 8th grade core classes. So many of you are probably thinking, what is credit recovery? So let me just give you a quick glance of what credit recovery is. So basically, we have a student and we look at their deficient classes in their transcripts, and we assign those students into the A+. That's what the computer-based program is. It's called A+. A credit recovery teacher goes over note-taking skills, and that would help them move on and progress during the lessons that they're given through the computer-based program. Immediately, right away before they start the lesson, they're being assessed, so that way they can see how much knowledge they have on that subject matter. Students must complete 2 tests in order to master that lesson. Once that lesson is mastered, we have the students, all their notes, everything gathered up, and we basically take that over to our counselor, and she updates their transcripts and puts it in as a passing grade. I honestly feel every student wants to be successful. Every student. I don't care what kind of background they have, where they come from. Everybody wants to be successful. Even as adults, we want to be successful. I started my first year as an opportunity teacher, and I heard many things. I heard it's going to be a challenge. You're going to have to deal with unmotivated students. The program's not so great. There's kinks and bugs you're going to have to work out. So that, being a first year, was like scary. So, but I went in with my head held up high, and a lot of you heard my little rainbows and sunshine speech. So I went in with a positive attitude, and I just wanted to just make sure I went in there with a clean slate. So after the first semester of the school year, it was a great learning experience for me. Students were meeting goals, and as in the A+ program, I've been hearing a lot of students like, oh, Miss Bourne, I got an apple. So what does I got an apple mean? I got an apple is pretty much, since it's computer-based, every time they pass a lesson, a little apple pops up right on there saying that they completed a lesson. And for me, it brought joy to like my heart as a first-year teacher, because it's like saying to me, hey, the excitement in their voice when they said I got that apple, that unmotivated student is becoming motivated. So it's really touched me as a first-year teacher. So yeah, and then also opportunity students that have completed their intervention classes, I hear them all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, I completed my classes, Ms. Bourne. I'm no longer credit deficient. I cannot wait to go to the high school and promote for 8th grade. So they're already, right then and there, they're gonna get a clean slate, just like every other student. I believe failing's gonna continue to happen. During the first semester alone at TMS, we had 200 students fail. That's 405 classes that need to be made up. This is an average of 2 deficient classes per semester, or per student per semester. Without credit recovery, students will not have the opportunity to make up their deficiencies and possibly continue on that failing path. There are great students who have what it takes to be academically successful when they fall off track. The credit recovery program gives students the resource to be academically successful. An example, so I had an intervention student. The kid's amazing. He comes in, he only has 2 credit deficiencies. He just has the right mindset. He's like, Ms. Bourne, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna finish it, I'm gonna get it off my transcript, and I'm gonna get that passing score. Got it completed. That student comes now, every now and then pops his head in, hey, Ms. Bourne, guess what? I'm doing good in my classes. So I, it's my students, I have to verify. So I look at their transcripts and I'm like, oh my gosh, A's and B's, great. So, but imagine, just that turnaround alone, the excitement in the voices that they had, because they were allowed to have that opportunity to make up those deficiencies. And what scares me is, what do we do if they don't have that opportunity? What's gonna happen to them? As adults, we all We all make mistakes. We all have our hard times. We have bad days, we have bad months, we have bad years. Same with students. They're just like us, maybe a little weird, but they're like us. We all go through it. And I think if they just have that opportunity to be given that chance, this A+ program is it. It's the resource they need, because what are we gonna do if we don't have it? All those F's I just said, where are they gonna go? Who's gonna advocate for them? How are we gonna get them through it? Also, I'd like to say administration also uses credit recovery for retention and the SST process as an intervention. Also, age limit. Where do they go if they hit that age gap? Opportunity is a perfect resource for them if they do hit that age gap. So I feel this program has so much potential for growth with consistency, communication. It doesn't have consistency, and coming in, I thought, I was like, starting from the beginning to now, I thought I was gonna be like, oh, I'll just transfer to another position because of the scare tactic, but actually I fell in love with it. Just because to see these guys fall off track to now getting back on track, it's a really special moment for me, and it's exciting to see these guys get enthusiastic about it. So, like I said, I enjoy this program, and I think it's a success, and I feel like if you put in the time, you put in the work, it's just gonna grow, and these students are gonna grow. And everybody's gonna have a bad day, but given the opportunity, they can turn it around, and they can be successful. Thank you.
So my favorite student from the Opportunity Program is Ozzy. Ozzy is now an 8th grader. He has never been eligible for anything at Tropico. No dances, no trips, nothing. He was at least 40 plus credits coming into this year, deficient. Just before spring break, he came up to me and told me he was going to buy his ticket for the 8th grade trip to Magic Mountain. Ozzy will promote. He's made up his credits. And the reason I talk about Ozzy is because he's a good example of what can happen in the Opportunity Program, but it's also a testament to Mrs. Bourne, because Ozzy was in Opportunity last year. And he was in credit retrieval as a second semester 6th grader the year before. So he's had his opportunities to do well. But I think with the environment that Mrs. Bourne's created in that class, something sparked his interest, and he wants to please her, and so he's worked extra hard. And believe me, he has worked extra hard. I've watched what this kid has done this year. It's very impressive. And he's not the only one. There's many kids that catch that vision of what could happen in high school. An opportunity gives them that extra burst to make it to the finish line and actually promote into the high school. They may still have problems. I know my favorite kid from 2 years ago, he got to high school and struggled as a freshman. But he got to high school. Now he's caught up, I believe, now. But the point is they have that, and it's called opportunity for a reason, because it gives them that opportunity to succeed. So I want to thank Esmeralda. I want to thank my staff at Tropico. She's not a one-woman show. She works with, as she said, Mrs. Jansen, Mrs. Olmos, 2 other credit retrieval teachers, actually 3 other credit retrieval teachers. So it's a team effort, and I'm very proud to have them on my staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
achievement and student engagement. Our African American subgroup, which is currently our fastest growing subgroup, also having some difficulty with language arts and math state test scores, and their suspension rates are also high. This is information from the dashboard, and so give a little bit of credit here to Dan Wexler. He put all of these numbers together, compiled them for us. So for our language arts, all of our students, so there's 4 levels. There is blue, there's green, there's orange, and then there's red. So all of our students are scoring in level 2. So our hope is that we can get them back up to at least level 3, but we are about 56.5 points below level 3. And so this past year we declined 3.3 points. Our African American students are down in level 1 in the red. And so they declined 4.8 points. They're about 83 points below level 3. And then our students with disabilities, they're in level 2 with orange, and they actually increased 3.1 points, but they're still scoring below where we would like them to score. And just a note, students with disabilities, they still take, a majority of them still take the same test that their gen ed counterparts take. So they take the test, and if they do well, then it takes them up. If they start to score low, then it takes them down. But they are a 5th grader, is rated on a 5th grade scale. So that definitely attributes to some of their difficulties. And here are our math scores. All students were still in orange. We declined quite a bit, 11.2 points for math. Our African American students, they declined 19 points. And then our students with disabilities at 20 points. Suspensions. So our district as a whole went up on suspensions about 0.06%. Our West Park had the lowest suspension rate, 1.3. Middle school was the highest with 5.9. And then all students, 6% increase. Our African American students. There are fewer students, so the more students that have at least one suspension, that increases your numbers. And here's a big one: chronic absenteeism. That is a big problem throughout the state of California. At this point, this year it's not on the dashboard, but next year it will be on the dashboard. So this year we have 19 school districts out of 47 participating. That number is quite likely going to increase once chronic absenteeism goes onto that dashboard. And so you can see our, it's kind of small to fit it on there, but so this is based on schools. Let me come back over here. Our African American students, they had the highest amount of absenteeism at 29%. The district as a whole is at 16% of chronic absenteeism. So that definitely is something that, if you're not at school, you can't learn. So that definitely plays a part in those test scores. So February 28th, we started our pre-institute. So what we did was, the group of us, there was about 12, 13. And so what we did was we met here. There's teachers, there's administrators. So what we did was we met, and a county came down, and it was about the dashboard, the learners. That's when we met together with Mojave and Sierra Sands. We were all together, and so then we had to present what we thought was our problem of practice, and then they would give us some positives and negatives as to what they thought. Well, maybe you're a little too broad, maybe you're a little too negative. And so then we would present ours, and they would give us that feedback. They would present, everybody would give that feedback, and then we'd go back to our room and try to figure out, okay, well, let's take all these, this information that we were given. Okay, now we got to start on our problem of practice too. So, it was kind of a long day. So gosh, by the end of the day, we were really tired. So part of our problem of this was our rationale, and rather than read that to you, I'm just going to kind of give you a little synopsis of it.
it just kind of goes back to say that our rationale is, you know, we have our African American students and our students with disabilities that are struggling. They're having some issues. As far as our interventions that we're doing, some of them, like the Read 180, the System 44, we get definitive data from that. So we can look at it and we can say, okay, are these interventions successful? But then there's some other ones that we've done, the after school academies, universal access, code retrieval, SARB. Those are a little bit tougher to say, you know, really has that made a difference? SARB, you know, can be a little frustrating. You know, some people come, some people are really serious. You're like, oh my goodness. You know, the whole purpose of SARB is to, hey, come tell us what the issue is in getting your kid to school, because we really can help you. And you know, we have a little family, a little West Park family, who came to our last SARB meeting a couple weeks ago, and boy, that little mama went, you know, that little girl misses school, now she's calling me. I got a call, oh my gosh, I thought that school didn't start till today. She left it on an answering machine yesterday, I'm really excited this morning. So, you know, for some people that definitely works. Other people, you know, they still continue to not respond to our interventions in that way. After school academies, you know, and this will be something that we sure up when we talk about our action plan, is, you know, maybe pre-test and post-test, so we can really, you know, get some information as to, you know, is it successful, or, you know, GLAD training, you know, GLAD strategies, those types of things, or GLAD Academy. And so that's, and you know, then it talks about this school year, you know, there's such a teacher shortage in the state of California that a third of our teachers came in as PIPs, STIPs, and interns. So, you know, really, does that make a difference? Well, it sure might, because you have people that are, you know, trying to find their way through the classroom. They're trying to go to school. You know, many of them have families. So, yeah, that does add a little bit of a stressor. And some of those brand new teachers are, you know, some of the best teachers that we have in the district. So, you know, it's hard to say if that really is an issue. And then our day 2, so we came back, you know, we had our rationale, and we said, okay, this is why we're going to change. We're going to take some of that information that they gave us, and we're going to rewrite it. So our second one was that Southern Current does not focus on continuously monitoring and improving the effectiveness of our educational program, implementation and outcomes, and the health of our school climates. So then some of the information that they had given us the day before, we, you know, added our rationale. So then we shifted our problem of practice to include monitor and improving. We focused on implementing adult and student outcomes, and then school climate. So then after we, you know, spent the whole morning doing the same process, working together in our little groups, different activities, and there were lots of different activities that kind of got everybody to focus on, you know, certain aspects, you know, and then it was come back to this group, and throughout the day you might work with 3 or 4 different groups, and then come back to that big group. And you know, the thing about it is it was so wonderful to work with, you know, some people that, you know, maybe I didn't really know that well, and everybody came and they worked, they had open minds. You know, it's kind of like people say, oh no, I don't think that's a good idea, you know, and it was just a matter of just throwing out ideas, you know, and just working together. So it was a good experience. So then day 3 became actually day 2, same afternoon process, where we went in with Mojave and Sierra Sands. You know, we read our, you know, presented our rationale, and we presented our problem of practice number 2. Again, they gave us feedback, positive and negative. So then we marched ourselves back after, you know, the day, and okay, we gotta come up with something else. So then we came up with our third one, which was that Southern Current does not focus on continuously monitoring and improving the effectiveness of our educational program, interventions, curriculum, instruction, and behavioral, and the health of our school climate, and this results in low student achievement and high suspension and student absenteeism rates. So then we said, okay, yep, that's our, you know, number 3. And then we kind of decided that, you know, we really need to kind of narrow it down just a little bit. What do we mean by educational program? Well, with our items that we had in parentheses, we said, well, really that just means instructional program. So in our problem of practice 4, really all we changed was that Southern Current does not focus on continuously monitoring and improving the implementation and effective utilization of our instructional program, including good first differentiated instruction, interventions, and behavioral supports, along with the help of our school climate. And this results in low student achievement, high suspension rates, and absenteeism. So in refining 3 to 4, we really just focused on educational program, what that entailed, and that just was in our instructional program. And so then our final day, we'll go next Monday, and we'll probably go through the same process. But we have sent out, actually Dan Wexler created a survey for us and sent that out. We had students in grades 3 through 12 who took the survey. There's a variety of questions about instruction, school climate. The survey didn't close today, so I didn't include that in my presentation, but he's busily compiling all the results of that, and then we will take that, and when we go on Monday, we'll be looking at it and putting together our action plan as to how we're going to move forward with our improvement. And so these are our members of our team. We have Leslie Lacey from Rosamond Elementary, Margaret Soria from Rosamond Elementary, our counselor Emily Phillips from West Park, teacher Sandy Dino, Carolyn Kendall from Tropico, Mara from Tropico, Kathy Wilson, who's the principal at West Park, Matt Adams, the principal at Tropico, Katie Otterman, who is our assistant principal, alternative education, director of special ed, Cheryl Taylor, director of special programs, Melanie, director of instructional support, Dan Wexler, and then myself and Mr. Lawrence. So, any questions?
I know.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. It's nice to see everybody. They've already told you about the Spady and Gatsby. Please come check us out. That's a lot of fun. Along with the Tropical Middle School kids playing, the high school kids, we usually have a professional band that comes out there, Jim Simonetti and some of his guys. So that's an amazing and a lot of fun. And we can use all the volunteers. Also, I promised I would do this, and I apologize I didn't. I have the results for the dance force, and one of our couple kids in this room were there. This was the dance, what was it, the 15th or 16th year? I think the 14th year of doing this. And it had our middle school, our junior high school. Last year, our 6th graders had to compete against 7th and 8th graders. This year, it was more tilted and more even, and it was amazing. Our West Park finalists, Nicholas Cruz and Caitlin Forston, they took 3rd place in Foxtrot. Bryce Siegel and Kennedy Sheminsky, 8th place in Foxtrot. Bryce Siegel and Katie Jorgensen, 9th place in Merengue. Tropical 6th grade finalists were Andrew Jorgensen and Sophia Lopez Laszlo, 1st place in Foxtrot. Jacob Stavelek and Madison Sheminsky, 2nd place in Foxtrot. Andrew Jorgensen and Allison Cooper, 2nd place in Merengue. Jacob Stavelek and Anna Howe, 9th place in Merengue. Andrew Jorgensen and Sophia Lopez Laszlo, 1st place in Rumba. Jacob Stavelek and Madison Cheminsky, 5th place in Rumba. Andrew Jorgensen and Madison Cheminsky, 2nd place in East Coast Swing. Jacob Stavelek and Anna Howe, 5th place in East Coast Swing. Our Tropico 7th and 8th finalists, Ethan Tilton and Ashley Medina, 6th place in Bachata. Christopher Copeland and Brie Otis, 8th place in Bachata. Trenton Maccabee and Kiyama Jeffrey, 9th place in Bachata. Ethan Tilton and Lily Martell, 4th place in Viennese Waltz. Christopher Copeland and Lily Tanner, 9th place in Viennese Waltz. Ethan Tilton and our own Elizabeth Notterman, 8th place in Cha-Cha. Christopher Copeland and Ashley Medina, 11th place in Cha-Cha. Ethan Tilton and Lily Martell, 2nd place in East Coast Swing. Christopher Copeland and Liliana Balthorpe, 6th place in East Coast Swing. Ian Drigo and Elizabeth Notterman, 8th place in East Coast Swing. Lily Martell, 1st place, Jack and Jill Bachata. Rosamond High School results. Joseph Santos, 1st place, Jack and Jill Bachata. Layla, I'm killing your name. Mario, 4th place in Jack and Jill Bachata. Holly Hargrove, 5th place, and Jack and Jill Machado. And with Jack and Jill is you dance with somebody from another school. So that is tough because I've had some of our kids. I had a girl who I won't name. I think it was Bree. Told her little 7th grade boy, if you step on my foot again. She said, "Love you, Louise." Joseph Santos and Layla Maria, 1st place in Machada. Skylar Cover, 3rd place in Machada. Kaylee Ingalls, 7th place in Machada. Joseph Santos, 1st place, Viennese Waltz. Kaylee Inglis, 5th place in Viennese Waltz. The Viennese Waltz, this is the first year they've ever done Viennese Waltz. It was amazing. For Joseph Santos, Kaylee Ingle, 1st place in Cha-Cha. Joseph Santos and Holly Hargrove, 1st place in East Coast Swing. Layla Moreno, third place in East Coast Swing. You see a thing going on here, you know. I mean, we went from a school that we were kind of glad, like a lot of places, we're glad to be there, and here we are, you know. Kind of robotics, kind of like soccer, kind of, who are you guys? We'll tell you after we beat you. Yeah. Rosamond Elementary, fortunately, I'm sorry I didn't get the results, but their dance folks were Thomas Bennett, Layden, White Confused, Coley Bennett, Quayle Bennett, Rosalind Gray, Jezebel Fowler, and Natalie Costco. This is amazing, and it just was watching the kids' eyes light up, and like anything else, sometimes, you know, we find a place for kids, sometimes they don't. They don't do soccer, they do this, and it's really cool. Not too, it's sappy, but after 22 years, you know, I told you I'm leaving, so May 29th, I am leaving. I'll miss you guys, it's been 22 years. I've been on the board almost 8. And, you know, it's just, for me, an amazing time. I got to grow up here. I got to start a family here. My wife and I showed up like old people with 4 cats. 22 years later, 9 kids. And we get to do this on Friday. We get to adopt our 9th and possibly our last child. At 61, I have to stop sometime. But I will be picking my nursing home. If it smells funny, I don't want to live there. So, and you know, I've got to share a lot. And I think Mr. Adams, when I think about Tropical, one thing I'll always remember, and not to pick on one of our school board members, but a school board member who's been here a long time, I said, "Is your picture on this wall?" And Mr. Gutierrez said, "See that black and white one in the corner?" That's me. And that's cool, you know. And it's just amazing. I met people from all walks of life. I met kids that are near and dear to me. You know, you've been doing this a long time when the kids you coached are now coaching and have kids themselves. It's just, you know, kids have come back. I think about Mr. Adams, him and his wife coached for many years, and the teams that we have now, and in soccer and basketball, football, it's all just, the feeder program started in our middle schools and feed into our high school. It's amazing, it is. I don't have to say which soccer team at the high school is better. I'm not going there. Hi, girls. Anyway. You guys, you let them touch the ring, rub the hat, kind of thing? Okay. Anyway, and you get another ring, right? Yes. Yes, that's 2 rings. You guys are run out of hands? Yeah. And I'm also really, really excited to announce that I'm also part of AYSO, but this year we're going to start a VIP program. And a VIP program is for our special needs kids. And we're really excited. Coach Coletto and Coach Ramos have come out to give their time. So that's pretty cool. And we can always use buddies. And the buddies come and they help the kids. And some kids say, "I don't need a buddy. I can do this on my own." I don't, you know. And so we're going to start this year. We have the head gal from, who's been doing it for many years, from Corsair, and her husband come out last night and talk to us about it. So from 9 to 12 this Saturday, we're going to be in this room. For anybody who would like to come sign up, you can do it online, but this we'll be here this Saturday, 9 to 12, in case anybody needs any help. So once again, you know, all I can say is, I love you guys. I will miss you guys.
Thank you.
No, thank you. It's an attitude of gratitude. It really is. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Betty, for everything. it's always great to have a room full. It's really hard when you have a meeting with like 5 people, oh, maybe 6. But it's good to have you here, and just all the amazing things that are happening. My kids went to school here, and no, they didn't have those things. They didn't have the sports programs at Tropico. We didn't have, I'm not even sure we had Tropico at the time. Well, we kept moving them around, so, you know. But just the things that have happened, and like Ms. Rhoda said, not everybody is academic, not everybody is sports. We have things with the dancing that they can do. There's the ASB, ASB's been around like since ASB started, which is like 9,000 years ago or something, but, well, no, not for you girls. But no, we've got different things that they can do, and I am always truly amazed with the robotics. This is our 3rd year and we're going to Houston, you know, and some of our kids are probably going, where the heck is Houston? Unless they know, you know, baseball teams and things, basketball. But it's great, it's great. I just love it. And the thing that I really love, I was at the high school from September of '86 to June of '98. And some of my kids are in this room. They'll always be my kids, okay? And they've come a long way. I mean, Rosie, we used to have some fun. No, I mean, the kids always knew that my office was always a safe haven. And if they needed something, they could come. If they just needed to talk, they could come. Those kinds of things. If they needed to store their skateboards, I started with 1 and ended up with 20 every day. You know, they knew they could do that. But they also knew, don't mess with Ms. Kirk, you know. I loved them to death, but please be nice and respectful. And when I see them, you know, in this room, and not just this room, but, you know, on school sites in town, the things that they've done to make not only our schools better, but make Rosamond better. And I just thank them for that too. So, thank you. I'm going to be like Benny and start crying. You're next.
I want to thank everybody for coming. It's nice to see a nice crowd. It's really sad when I do a board meeting and there's 8 of us, 1 person in the crowd. Teams, high school, you guys had an amazing season. Tropical Middle School. When the programs were first thought up, quite a few years back, the first thing we had to do is put the field back. Because there was no field out there, it was just dirt. And thank you for being able to get that done. And then getting the programs going, being able to get thank the community for being able to get a gymnasium that you guys can play in. And it's all been the community. They're the ones that have stepped up. We're just allowed to do these things for you guys because of them. And yes, I am on the wall at Tropico. And
black and white.
It's black and white. That would have been the junior high graduation photo for 8th grade. But it used to be Hamilton. The junior high was Hamilton at the time. I actually started kindergarten at Tropico. Yeah, it used to be the elementary school back then. That was a long time ago. Anyways, again, thank you. And Vinny, thank you for all your service. It's been a pleasure.
And I always say real quick, Rosamond strong, Rosamond proud, forever, forever, ever.
Tomorrow, like an old West black powder photo. Coaches, thanks. Tropico, who was Mikey, you said you came back. I remember when I came back, started coaching, I went right to Mr. Allred. Said sorry for being such an a-hole when I was a student. He was my coach. Because coaching is much different when you come back. back. And I just want to congratulate the robotics team getting invited to nationals in Houston. They're going to make that happen. That's pretty cool. They get to travel out there. So we'll see them.
I just want to say thank you for being here and welcome back. I also like to just thank Mr. Adams and his staff for the awesome job that they're doing, and also for Alicia and Rosie for doing a great job feeding our kids. And then for Ms. Hargis for that presentation. That was very informational, and I do look forward to getting the results when you go back for that next. Yeah, so you can do our action plan. Yeah, the action plan. I'd like to see that.
They're much smaller numbers than that.
Yeah. Thank you again. So the next item is RTA report.
Well, I was actually going to have no report tonight, but since everybody's talking so much, I thought I'd join in. Actually, only one item from RTA tonight, and then I'm going to use my time with a few other thoughts. Meeting with Mr. Weinstein and Lisa Lopez tomorrow to talk about what we're going to do to fill a large number of vacancies that we're going to be looking at for next year. As Mrs. Hardy talked about, with the tremendous shortage of credentialed teachers in California right now, we certainly have a big job in front of us. Certainly it's the job of the district, and I'm just kind of there to keep an eye on how it affects our current teachers. So over the next couple months, it's going to be interesting for those young people in the audience. While teaching is a challenging profession in the state of California for the next 20 years, you are going to be sorely needed. So it might be a profession you're going to want to consider. Speaking of teaching, seeing several ex-students in here, including a coach and a teacher of the Opportunity Program, it's thrilling to see what they're doing. After having survived through my class and my program, obviously made it very challenging for them so that they can survive anything if they did that. But all of our athletic programs, I've been very fortunate using Mrs. Reeder's guidance as our athletic director, and then just trying to coordinate with things, how they're working at Tropico. I've been very fortunate to be able to hire just such a solid group of coaches that all I have to do is coordinate and just get everything organized and say, there you go, now it's up to you. And they're just doing a really good job. So I really appreciate all of the time and effort that they're putting in, and Mr. Adams' supervision and guidance for helping me do that. The report that we saw, now I'm going to talk as a teacher, the report that we saw about all of the things going on with the upcoming programs and improvements that being made. I certainly have lots of very strong opinions about some of the things that were presented tonight from a teacher standpoint, having to do with suspension rates and absenteeism and low scores and this and that. It's a multifaceted challenge that we've got in front of us. Like I say, I've got very strong opinions about that, but I think I'm going to let some of our younger teachers do that because they're the ones that are going to have to live with it for the next 10 years. So I'll let them kind of be the driving force in some of that. But other than that, we're just staying busy. We've only got, goodness gracious, 8 weeks left of school. It's going to be over before we know it. It is the busiest time of year as always. So, oh, that's the other thing I was going to say, Mr. Otis, since you reminded me. Going back to athletics, I did have the opportunity to order brand new track and cross-country uniforms. Nobody's seen them yet. I've just started receiving them and pass them out fairly soon. And I was thinking about how track uniforms are designed and the logos that they use on them, because most track uniforms are just clubs. You've got the Santa Monica Track Club and this track club and that track club. So as I was thinking about how to do that and making it, look like some of those, I think you channeled in me as I was designing those, because it does say Tropico, but then below it says Rosamond, California, so that they know where we're from. And on the back, it's got our logo on it, so when we're in front of them, the opponents can see it. So thanks for the inspiration.
Comments from the public, so we do have several. So members of the public may address the board on any item with the jurisdiction of the board by submitting presentation requests to the secretary. Members of the public are strongly urged not to mention personnel by name and are reminded that they do not have immunity over legal action if personnel are named. The board may limit each speaker for 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. People wishing to speak on the item that's not on the board agenda will be called upon when that item is considered. People wishing to speak on the item that are not on the board agenda will be called upon at this time. Since the board generally cannot take action on items not on the agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Okay, first one we have Ed Sheldon and Katie Nauman.
Woo! Go get him, man.
Oh, sorry. It's been a long time since I've been able to talk, so I just want to say a few things.
He's saying you're short, we can't
Put the
hear you.
mic down. Yeah.
Everybody can hear me on the building.
Yeah, we hear you.
Actually, Mr. Shevlin and I just wanted to come here this evening and personally invite you to our reaccreditation with WASP. This tells you the time and dates that we would really like to have you there, that the visiting committee would like your input and would like to definitely have your voice. If you have any questions, you can track down Mr. Shevlin or myself and we'd be happy to answer them for you. They'll officially be here April 29th through May 2nd. Of course, you're welcome to stop by any time for any day. But any time on those days, but specifically the times on the invitation is when your presence is most needed. Do you have any questions?
No, I was just going to ask, Mr. Roney, when they came a couple of years ago, same kind of setup, right?
This is our full-blown WASP accreditation. That was the pre-WASP to get the approval, the nod, saying, yeah, they appreciate how well it's been done. They're going to give their aforementioned accreditation, and this shows their full disclosure, what they've seen that they like, as in our own staff, what they've seen they like, where they want it to go, and possible changes in the future.
So we are accredited, so
Yep.
they'll do this.
We're accredited.
It's a 2.5 day. Yeah, so they're gonna come in on Sunday, and that's where we're asking you guys to come. The meeting we're actually asking you guys to come to is our community members meeting. There will be another meeting that we have on there that would be for district representation as well as the governing board. But with all our outreach, we have like the VFW, we've had guest speakers, we've invited you guys onto campus and stuff. We wanted to let you guys come in to give a community perspective about how Alt Ed has impacted Rosamond. And we figured what better way than to have our governing board who supports Rosamond and supports us. And then for the district representation, and you can speak about that as well as on Sunday, but there will be a separate meeting on, I believe, Tuesday, I think it's on there, that will be for the governing board to discuss. They'll probably have more questions in regards to the day-to-day operations and stuff like that of the school and the district. But on Sunday, they just want to get a generalized feel for how we connect with the community, how the community connects with us.
And so the first initial visit was just them saying, you've done enough that you can get your initial accreditation. And then you have 3 years to write a very in-depth report. You have to do a lot of data digging. You have to really present what the school is doing and what it's not doing, where you want to go for the next 6 years. And so they'll come in and they will determine our accreditation. They can decide not to accreditate us. They can do a 6 year where you just have to submit a report in the middle. They can do a 6 year? 6 year. Okay, good. 6 year where they do a 1 day visit, and then 6 years where they do a 3 day visit. So it's kind of it's a way bigger report. This one, all said and done, we wrote 161 pages and 240 with appendices. The staff was fully involved in that process, and so it's been a really big task for us at Alt Ed to get this done and really make sure that it's presented in the right way. And it's definitely not always putting your best foot forward. It's just a very honest report about statistically and the data, what it shows and where we need to go from where we're at and what our plan of action is. So I will email you our WASP report. Mr. Weinstein and Mr. Roney and myself all have the printed out document, and then I can give it to you through Google Docs, and you'll see our areas of improvement and what we want to do. So really each section is what we're doing and then how we want to improve in that area.
So then, depending on the outcome of everything, they could not show up for another 6 years.
That's our hope.
That's our hope, yes.
I really don't want to do this again in a year. So, yeah, I'm sure we're going to get 6 years with some sort of in between, just because we have such a wonderful staff, wonderful backing by the board. They've just done phenomenal things there. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just kind of what they're going to do with it. We've already met the two heads of the visiting committee. We actually have two visiting committees, technically, one for Rare Earth and one for Abraham Lincoln. Mr. Roney, thank you, fought for us to only have to write one report. They at first were asking for two separate reports, and he went to bat for us, so we only had to write one, and we're able to combine certain things in the report. And so, yeah, it was a pretty big process.
Would it be a fair statement to make, Ms. Rosamond, that this program has come a long way?
Yes, I started teaching at Rare Earth, and as you remember, I said, will you come visit me in my classroom? And it was really just a closet. And I always we joke around a lot. And so he stepped in and he goes, okay, take me to your classroom. And I said, no, this is my classroom. And you know, Vinny, he teared up and he's like, this is horrible. So, but the next year I did have a classroom. So that was nice. Yeah, so it's come a very, that's a true story. And I didn't even have textbooks. Yeah, we've come a really long way. So that was like, what, 9-10 years ago. So we've come a really long way with Alt Edit's WASP accredited now. We've linked up with the high school. A lot of our students take electives there. We just recently, we are taking on credit retrieval at the high school. So those students will come over and do credit retrieval with us. And Abraham Lincoln students are able to do sports in large part because of Krista Reeder. She really made sure that's set up, and she's on it. She was just in my office the other day so I could sign. So next year we're ready to go. So many fun things. Mr. Adams and Mr. Weinstein and Mr. Roney just gave me the permission today that our Abraham Lincoln Independent Study students will actually be promoting at Tropico with those students. So we're really excited about that. So we're definitely doing some amazing things. You know, those students are our students, and it's always been Mr. Weinstein's vision that they be included and be treated just like everybody else. So that dream is coming to fruition. So,
Mr. Coleman, we just don't do that in Rosamond, do we? This can't be Rosamond.
Sure, why not?
Yes.
well, I hadn't talked to Mr. Coleman yet about practices.
Yeah, I just found out about that.
Thank you so much.
I'll be there.
Thank you, Katie and Ed. Our next speaker person will be Josh Daniels.
Thank you, members of the board and Superintendent Weinstein. Josh Daniels from Pearson Online and Blended Learning to speak about agenda item number 7 on your list about the California Connections Academy petition. I just wanted to start with really an explanation of why Kern County, and do it through a story, a true story of a parent whose children were a couple of years ago enrolled in a Connections Academy school. This parent's name, I won't use her last name, but her first name was Blanca, and she wrote a letter to the governor. You may be aware that the way independent study works in the state of California is that their students, if they're in an online or independent study school, they can go to a school that is sponsored within that county or a county that is adjacent, but not outside of that footprint. Well, Blanca and her children were enrolled in a school, and the county adjacent to them did not have the ability to enroll in school. Well, unfortunately, what happened with Blanca was she was in a domestic violence situation. She says in her letter to the governor about this policy, she says, "We recently had to leave our home for safety. My husband was arrested for domestic violence, child abuse, and criminal threats. He has been physically abusing us for a very long time. On March 7th, my oldest daughter had the courage to go to the police to ask for help. When the police arrested him, we checked into a safe house and felt very lost and not knowing what to do next. I was terrified in knowing that he could be released at any given time and was very concerned for our safety. I was also very concerned about my children's schooling options because we felt very unsafe being in the same city as him. As I stated earlier in the letter, knowing that he could be released at any given time has been extremely frightening. This man, my husband, and the stepfather to my children, hurt us and threatened to kill us all." What happened with Blanca was they had to move to a safe house in a neighboring county, and the students were no longer allowed to stay in their school, which was an online school. It didn't make a lot of sense because it was an online school. They could go to school from wherever they lived, but because of the way the jurisdiction worked, the students had to enroll in a new school in the county where they were temporarily living. And her students had anxiety issues, and there was a reason that they had enrolled in an online school. I think Mr. Gutierrez probably knows tools. I used some tools. I was a mechanic when I was in the Marines, and you have these wrenches called Torx, and they're different than a Phillips. And a Torx wrench doesn't fit on a Phillips screw head because of the way it's shaped. Well, sometimes students are kind of like a Torx wrench, and sometimes they need a different spot to fit in. And so that's why there are students that choose the online school. So for Kern County, there are a couple of counties neighboring to you where parents can't enroll their children. And if they happen to move from one county to another in an emergency situation like this, their children would have to switch into potentially a Phillips screwdriver school, one that may not fit their needs exactly. And so it's for this reason that we think it makes a lot of sense for the school to be authorized in Kern County. And there are a number of students already in Kern County going to a Connections Academy school, but that's sponsored by Tulare County. And so actually what we would like to see happen is if the school's open, those students in Kern County could then enroll in the Kern County-based school. And so you would see an increase in enrollment, and you would be able to better serve students in the region, because like I said, there's these gaps in these neighboring counties. So this is the reason why I think it makes a lot of sense for this school to be located here. To you and ask you to consider is that despite the fact that you have a proposed motion for denial, it is still certainly within your discretion to approve the charter as an alternative motion. And I would encourage you to do that and to consider that, because there are benefits not just to families like Blanca who need the online option, but there are benefits to the district. Certainly the board members that oversee the Connections Academy School, they want to be able to serve those families, and they want to be authorized in Kern County. So if there's a denial, then they're likely to appeal to the county. And one of the problems with that is if the county authorizes the school, there's a cash flow problem for the district because of the way that the property tax revenue is allocated for students on a monthly basis, but the state allocates money for those students not on the same schedule. So while the district won't be harmed in the long run in terms of the fiscal position of students that enroll, it might be harmed in the short run because of this cash flow problem if the school is authorized by the county. If the district is able to authorize the school, then the school can do what we've done with other districts, which is enter into an MOU agreement that allows that cash flow problem to be fixed for the district. And not only that, but there's the authorizing fee that would go to the county as opposed to the district. We would prefer to see the district benefit from the revenue from the authorization and from the access to online courses for your own students. And so I would just like to urge a support vote for the charter application to help families like Blanca and others who need the online option. And I think it is in the interest of the district. And perhaps if you're considering a denial motion, maybe push pause and do a kind of like a tabling of the motion and come back to it. And maybe there's if you have some substantive concerns, those can probably be worked out between now and a few weeks from now. So that's what I would share with you. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. That's great.
Good evening, President Sanchez, trustees, and Superintendent Johnson. We did bring also some handouts that were some response to the resolution. Yeah, so we provided copies for everyone, and we'd be happy to follow up with that as well, if you want electronically. Just to quickly introduce myself again, thank you for having us back again. It's a pleasure to be here in your community and hear all the great stories about the nice things going on here. I'm Francie Sasson, I'm the Director of Business Services. I've been with the California Connections organization since inception back in 2004. I wanted to point out, we've been here and kind of talked about our program, the high quality, that type of thing, but I wanted to bring you a few things that maybe we didn't touch on last time. and that were addressed in some of the back and forth. We have a very knowledgeable staff in our organization. A lot of the folks have been there for a long time and doing this work for a long time, trying to, again, expand options throughout the state of California. We have great access to all kinds of resources. We're members of 2 different charter organizations. We work with legal experts in the charter field that have experience since the beginning of the charter school world, 25 years. We stay current on legal issues. We really take compliance seriously. That's a lot of the area that I work in, is in compliance. And we really work hard to ensure that if there's new laws, changes to the laws, that we're really adapting those and figuring out how to make sure that we're complying with those. As you've heard tonight and before, we serve a very diverse population of families with a lot of unique needs. We're open to any family. There are no admission requirements. There's no charge. We have a full range of offerings, everything from credit recovery. You've heard a lot of great things about what good that does for students tonight. We have those all the way up to the range of AP classes. We have lots of community activities where we get the families out in the community doing educational as well as social activities. We do have a high level of parent involvement. I think, again, you heard a little bit about that tonight, how important that is for children to be successful. And that's a good thing. We don't have any parent volunteer requirements, but our parents do like the choice, and they are very involved. We have a great track record. You've heard some of our other points in previous meetings, but I did want to point out we have never had an expulsion in our history. We've had very few suspensions. We actually do, have a number of students who have had discipline issues in other places, but they find coming to the online school that they're able to work through those. Sometimes they'll go back into their brick and mortar school after they've been able to continue their education with us. We've not had audit findings on any of our schools over more than 10 years. If we did, we would, our board would be extremely active about making sure that those were immediately remedied and make sure that that was to the satisfaction of our authorizing partner. We really do understand and navigate a lot of complex HR matters and staffing matters in compliance with California law. That can often be complex as a charter school because you're navigating a lot of different rules that apply. And we really try to work with each of our district partners to make sure that our reporting and our compliance is timely, it's transparent, that the districts have access to whatever they need to be able to do their job as our partners. So in closing, I just wanted to really have you reconsider the benefits of partnering with our high-quality alternative option and help us better serve this community. And we would really want to work with you to address any remaining concerns and really try to build a solid relationship. And I think we have possibly a family who'd like to share a little bit about their experiences with the school.
I'll take it.
Thank you.
Is Robin?
So Rahul ready?
No, it's Robin.
Oh, Robin, I'm sorry. I'm bad and ready.
Okay, is it Robin?
Yeah.
My mom?
It's okay.
Eric here in Texas. Somebody's left. I just wanted to say that this was a really good school. We were in a previous school, online school, that was really bad for him. They caused him in like 2 years to go from learning everything to completely hating school until we found connection, I should say. Sorry, that's online part. It's really good. They work really well with my student, my son. He's gifted. He's doing high school programs now. He's in 6th grade. So all I can say is this would be a good thing for Kern County. It would be closer to the ones that are in this area than having to go down to Orange County for events and things like that. So I really appreciate a district here in this area.
Thank you.
Put my handwriting is too. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Weinstein. My name is Rahul Reddy. I am an attorney here on behalf of California Connections Academy, urging you to approve the charter petition. I apologize, as an attorney, I'm going to start with the law. It's relevant for the review of a charter. And the law is pretty simple. Boards shall not deny a petition unless it makes written factual findings to support one of the 5 limited grounds for denial. And for folks who don't have all the documents, there was a draft resolution as part that is suggested by the district to deny the charter. In this draft resolution, there's 2 findings that they're relying on. Number 1, that California Connections Academy is not likely to successfully implement a charter program. And number 2, an argument that the charter is missing elements. And truthfully, as we've heard at this meeting and other meetings, California Connections Academy is not only likely to succeed in implementing this education program in the charter, they're already doing this. That they operate 2 other charter schools serving thousands of students in California. We just heard from one parent. The draft findings in this resolution to support the denial are frankly razor thin. They raise matters that aren't really legal issues or can be easily addressed in a line in an MOU or perhaps a line amending the charter. The draft resolutions, these findings, to try to support the denial, focus on semantics and word choice. I want to give you one example. I have provided our written response. I'm just going to give you one example. I do go through all, we do go through all of them in that response. One of the issues that was brought up by the draft resolution is that the California Connections Academy charter petition has the wrong or illegal admissions preferences. And that's not the case. So there's a line in the charter petition that says, California Connections Academy will encourage families to carefully consider its academic and parental involvement demands. Now, the justification for denial tries to argue that that statement means California Connections Academy is demanding that parents volunteer in order to enroll, which is illegal. And that's clearly not what the statement is saying, right? That statement is saying, hey, if you decide to enroll in an independent study program, parents play a different role in supporting their student and their child as compared to a traditional brick and mortar school. And in fact, if you look at page 5, I took a line from Abraham Lincoln's independent study program in describing the independent study program here. The website states, parents need to make the commitment to become more involved than they may have found necessary in the traditional setting. So both statements are saying the same thing, that independent study is a type of program where parents have a different role. Neither are suggesting that parents have to volunteer. And these are the sorts of wordplay or semantic arguments that are raised in the findings to deny. And as I said, this sort of description of an independent study charter school is very common. And it doesn't justify the denial. And that's just one example. And throughout this process, the district has never suggested that California Connections Academy cannot successfully implement its education program, or that its charter was missing any elements. This makes perfect sense because they've been successfully implementing their program. But something happened in March after months of collaboration where I was working with your council and trying to finalize the charter. And it appeared that there was a change of position on wanting to work with California Connections Academy on this charter. I wasn't there. I don't know the reasons. But I have to imagine it wasn't because of the wording in the charter related to demands. And as Francie was saying, we want to work with you to address any concerns that you have. If the concerns are related to risk, California Connections Academy presents very little risk to the district. One, the law gives districts, authorizing districts, immunity and protection from liability for a charter school's action. Two, in an MOU, we'll work with you to come up with identification language and insurance language that works for the district to protect the district to its satisfaction. If your concern are staff time and resources related to oversight of a charter school, well, as a virtual education program, you're not going to have the expensive oversight that you would with a traditional brick and mortar school. You're not going to worry about testing for water or lead in water or any of the school safety concerns that come with a physical site. What you're going to get are the benefits from the program that Josh mentioned, about the financial benefits related to the 1% oversight fee that the district would get. It would support all the wonderful programs we heard about today, the soccer program, the opportunity program. All would be supported through authorizing this charter. So again, we want to ask, I want to know what are the concerns that led to this recommendation for denial? Because I know if it's what's in the resolution to deny, we can easily come up with ways to resolve all of those concerns. If there are other concerns that aren't in that document, let us know so we can work on them with you. Because if it's denied here, it goes to the county, and as I mentioned, we feel we have a strong, legally sufficient charter, and those benefits would go to the county and not to this district. And so I believe I'm the last speaker. If you have any questions about, I know I poured a lot on you as far as documentation, but if you have any questions about the charter petition, the process, appeal, we would love to be able to have a dialogue with you about that.
It's true you guys already serve Kern County, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That is correct. So our students technically do have access to this. They would have to enroll, and they would just pay their fee, correct?
So as far as fee, there are no fees with California Connections Academies. It's just like any public charter school, it's free of charge. All students who are eligible to enroll can be admitted.
Students right now could access.
Right, well, your students would have to, so that's a good question. So current students of schools within Southern Kern Unified School District, they would not be able to enroll in the program because you can't be double enrolled. If you were to authorize your charter, one of the benefits is access to the online curriculum that is provided by Connections Academy. So if a student who's attending Tropico wants to access the program, they have to disenroll if the charter is not approved. But the charter is approved, they would be able to, through the charter and an MOU, the district would be granted access to a lot of the courses that are offered by Connections. But Richard, please go ahead.
Well, I think what Patrick's asking is, can students that live in Kern County
I'm saying right now, our students have it. They could go to California Connections Academy right now.
And any kid that lives in Kern County can enroll into California Connections Academy.
That's because you guys are in Tulare and connect to Kern County, correct?
And it's a contiguous county to Tulare.
And you want to do it here so you can connect to other counties.
Correct.
So you basically want to use us to connect to the coast.
That is a fair statement. However, your district would benefit from those oversight fees.
With
right?
1%, correct?
Which is 1% right now, which would equate to about $20,000 the first year. But
that just depends on the.
It depends on student enrollment.
You guys can manipulate the enrollment to where you can move it to here, to this district, as long as they're connected. And we don't have any say in that, right, other than our students?
No, you would have say in that.
You would definitely have say in that.
We could absolutely write that into the charter. What may not have been explained is that the school that's currently.
Yeah, we would have to put it, currently, we would have to put that in that MOU. That would give us control.
Currently, the school that's authorized in Tulare County is authorized for 3 more years. There is a possibility that that school will not be renewed, if you will. And then this school would then take all of Kern County, and then Tulare County would start enrolling in this district, or in this school. So the potential enrollment for this school would easily exceed 1,000, in my opinion, in 3 years. And then that oversight fee is now $100,000 that will come to you annually.
Yeah, I got a question. We get somebody that, what is our cost for oversight? Because we have to be an oversight for your charter since we are the school of record. Correct?
Correct. You'd oversee our charter. There is no cost to you.
Sure there is. We've got to have an audit.
No.
So we have, yes we do. By law, we have to audit both our books and your books.
So we hire our own auditor, and our auditor audits at our cost, audits us, and then we submit that audit to the district, the county, and the state. It does not need to be included in your own audit. It's a separate audit that we pay for.
And that's a legal requirement. That's for every audit provided to you.
But don't we have to have an oversight on that?
We would have our auditors would be reviewing their audit, yeah. We would, for compliance, making sure that everything is covered in the audit. Absolutely. We would have our own auditor.
So we still have
Yeah, Ms. Garcia, who you obviously all know, yeah, would take that role, and I'm sure charges for her hours, because she's very good at that.
There's another review that we would have to do. I'm trying to remember what that was.
And well, there's always the oversight of academic review there, making sure that that's compliant, which is also done by the county and the state, and then we would review that audit also.
So we have in-house having to do extra paperwork.
Yeah, I mean, we're responsible for the charter. It's our responsibility. So it's a double check system, I guess, which said they are doing their own audits, but we would obviously want to double check everything with our own people that we have a relationship with.
And Richard could probably speak to the numbers a little better, but the oversight costs, we pale compares to the $100,000 figure traditionally that he has raised, and it's important. And that's why, you know, when Richard and Josh have heard multiple times, it's important to build that relationship between the board and the charter school, because you talked about you have a responsibility to make sure the charter schools serving the students like they promised in the document. And there's protections for the district in numerous ways. One, if the charter school is not succeeding, they can be revoked. There's a process in the charter and in the law to allow that. Two, if there's a concern, again, about liability for the actions of the charter school, there's literally a statute that says authorizing districts, you're not liable for their actions, so long as you receive their independent audits. The law is intended to encourage these sorts of innovative programs, and the way the law does that is to protect authorizing districts who want to support these types of programs.
What does it hurt anyway?
No, I'm just.
I'm a grandma, and I have one grandson that goes to Rosamond Elementary, and I have one that I homeschool at home because of problems that he has, because he got slipped through the cracks.
Okay, I have nothing against homeschool.
Okay, but what does it hurt if
They currently can't attend this charter school. Those children who live in the Rosamond community can currently attend the California Connection.
Yeah, I live right down the street.
Right, so that's what the board is saying. Our community, which we represent, or the board represents, can currently go to.
But I have to go to another county to put my grandson in charter school. Why not have something here that he could go to too?
He can go to this exact charter school. He can go to this charter school whether we have it or not.
Yeah, he can. I could transfer him right now. Right now he's in another charter school, but I'm thinking about transferring him to this one.
Right, and he can be transferred and he can go. Whatever the board decides, either way, he can still
go. We can't stop him from going.
No, I know that, but if why can't it be both ways, where you have your regular school for the kids that want to go to regular school and the parents want to send them, but also have the other school too for the kids that do slip through the cracks?
But you already have that, is what we're saying.
I have it, but why not have, if we could get better schools out here?
It doesn't make any difference. If we had it, or if LA County had it, you could still use it because the counties touch each other. Okay, my concern personally is, why choose Southern Kern? How many other districts are in Kern County?
Is the question, why has California Connections County decided to petition Southern Kern?
I can tell you one reason.
Well,
no, they have to.
Let's try it, Richard. Go ahead.
Honestly, it's because of I live in Tehachapi, and I'm familiar with the area. I worked in the Antelope Valley for 11 years as a Spanish teacher and a vice principal. It's just because I'm familiar with the area.
Then why not Tehachapi School District?
Maybe that's our next stop. I don't know.
I mean, why wasn't that your first stop? That's where you live.
Right. It's because we wanted to bring the benefits to you. I think that your district would benefit more.
Well, what about people who live in LA County? that have to go all the way to Orange County
We don't.
when they could come here?
We're not responsible for LA County students.
I guess if the question is why choose one district over the other, you know, I think the answer comes down to knowing a district and whether or not they're really supportive. And, you know, this didn't come from out of the blue. There's conversation between district staff and connections about the program, and it wasn't applied out of nowhere. And you're right, if this district does deny, we'll have to recalibrate and consider other options. But the benefits that come with approval will go to someone else. And the someone else that we're considering, if this is denied, is the county. And if it goes to Kern County, not only the fees would go to the county, but the access to the curriculum that Connection provides, that was discussed. And Board Member Kirk, I understand the question, and you know, why us, or if you almost like you're feeling like you may be being used for
Absolutely.
And that's just not the case. And this is providing access not only to Kern County, but to contiguous counties who are not being served. And as Richard Savage just mentioned, there are other charter schools. 3 years, that charter school, they may decide to close that, and then this charter school would be the one that would be primarily serving Kern County. And if there's an MOU that we can discuss and try to figure out how to get enrollment to a level where the district is comfortable, look, you can see we've come here, we want to work. We want to work with you. I wish you could see the late nights I worked on the charter to try to come to a compromise with y'all, with y'all's council. Everything's in the spirit of good faith and compromise and working together. Because honestly, it benefits both parties. That's what I believe. I believe to be true.
Just one last additional comment, and I don't want to sound, I thought I had said this before, but we have 4 schools, and we're working with 4 different school districts. Middletown Unified is a community that very similar to yours. It's a smaller school district. Ripon, I'm sure you've seen the big water tower on the 99. It's a tiny town, and it's a similar situation. We also have Capital Unified, a very large school district, 70,000 students. So there is a wide variety. It brings what I've seen and I've been with Connections for 5 years. It brings you additional revenue. There is some cost, but the amount that you're going to get for oversight fees from the 1% of our ADA is going to be a large net gain for your district.
It still comes down to our kids.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, want to welcome everybody back and thank everybody for coming tonight. The only thing that I've got for tonight is I just wanted to let everybody know about the Aerospace Valley Regional High School Robotics Competition our robotics team will be participating in. That is happening starting today through the 7th. So I'll be there on Friday in the morning, rooting our team on and seeing some of their events that they'll be competing in, but our team will be there, so obviously we can't all root them on in Houston. Our thoughts will be with them, but if you'd like to see them compete locally, it's at Eastside High School, and it's if we can check, you can check with our high school for the exact times that different competitions will be going on, but that's just down in Lancaster, so Eastside High School the next few days and over the weekend. That's it.
Consent items A, B, C.
Motion to approve all consent items.
Second by Kurt, all in favor?
Aye.
And we have the journal on the denied charter petition for California Connections Academy. At Central Person adopted resolution 17-18-18, effectuating that action, and there's 2 letters that have been submitted that would like to put
Let those know that I have the one that was faxed to us.
So take one.
deny the petition for California Connection Academy.
I'll second that at the request from our legal counsel.
Second by Gutierrez, all in favor?
Aye.
Curriculum and instructions. Quarterly report, Mrs. Harkis.
One person in our corner.
I'll make a motion to accept all personnel as written.
Second by? Second. By Kirk, all in favor?
Aye.
Second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
At 8:52. Thank you.